Hello and welcome to today's video. So this time we're going to be having a look at recent eBay sales for vintage paperbacks in spring 2023, and we start off with this one here, A Man's Man. This is a rare Forces book club title, published by Penguin during the war and sent out to armed forces overseas. Very, very scarce. There's 120 different ones, and this one actually is one of the more common ones. It does turn out, but a beautiful copy nonetheless, and £50 for that one, which wasn't too bad at all. But they are quite scarce now, and no one has a full set that we know of, so there you go. This is an absolute classic, a Rodent Mutation, Badger SF 55 by Bronfane. This one went for £120, not in the greatest of shape either. Definitely a bit of spine wear there, but super rare and almost iconic. You could say this is probably the most in-demand Badger book, if not the most expensive, but it's a great one, and one I'm still after. Waiting to find one. This actually isn't a book, but it came across my way. It's the booklet for the premiere of On Her Majesty's Secret Service, which is one of my favourite Bond films, and this is just fantastic. It's just given out to attendees at the that one particular showing. It's incredibly rare. It's the first one I've ever seen of it. It was about £650 this one went for. Super rare. So not book related. 62107, but I thought you might like to see it. So a flurry of penguins and pans to begin with. This one was $99.99 all best offer, and I actually sold this one. This is my old copy. I got a better one now. It came my way, and I got £80 for this one. I accepted a £80 offer, I believe. So, yeah, that's about going rate. This one was in Australia. This one went about the same sort of money. Very scarce. This is only the first copy of this I've seen in about 2 years for The General Goes Too Far. It's a very scarce wartime one. And a few of these crime ones did seem to turn up over in America, wartime Australian copies which have gone over there, which is quite scarce. This is also in Australia. £63 for this one, for the Nebula coat. I think I've spotted The General Goes Too Far and this one have just been bought, probably by a dealer, and relisted. So whenever you watch this, you may find that you can still actually get these at significantly more money, at £250 a book now. This is Penguin number 14, The Thin Man. So it's the third ever Penguin crime book, released in the second batch of titles in August 1935. It's the first printing there. It did originally come in a dust wrapper, but even so, it's quite scarce. That is about £80. This was a revelation, £40 or best offer for the original Monkey Planet, or Planet of the Apes as you might more familiarly know it, but first came out as Monkey Planet. Pierre Boulle, translated from the French. Penguin from 1966. This was interesting. I thought, War and Peace, that's big money for War and Peace, and obviously they couldn't have been signed by Tolstoy because he was long dead, but they were signed by the translator. I've never seen those signed in a pair like that before. I've got the books, but not those, and they were the first prints as well. And they went for £40. This was nice. Also £30. This is a 1974 edition of The Day After Judgment. It's a Penguin science fiction by James Blish. These are becoming increasingly scarce with their black covers, tough to find in nice nick, but £30, that raised an eyebrow. This was also £30 with its die-cut black cover. That used to be quite common. It used to only go for about £5 or £6. So 30, I guess they've got scarce. But a nice copy of that one, better than you usually find. This was nice. This was a full set of the Ian Fleming Pan first, plus later editions. They weren't all in the greatest of shape, but it did include a first edition of, well, there it is, On Her Majesty's Secret Service, one of the export copies to Australia. So every single one, with multiple copies of some of them in different jackets, and quite a nice little lot. That £700 that went for. Sadly, the pictures are a little bit on the small side, but evidently someone offloading their collection. And I suppose really that wasn't a bad price. £500 for that lot. Yeah, £500. 313 for this copy of Casino Royale. It's a nice copy, but it was one of those ones that was being sold for a charity, and I don't know if you've noticed this, but when books are sold for charity, or anything for that matter, they tend to go for a little bit more than usual. This one went for £200, all best offer, just the regular Restaurant at the End of the Universe first edition, but really good signature inside by Douglas Adams, as you'll see, although personalised to Rog. So fine if you're called Roger, but else don't really know, wouldn't attract me. This was a second printing of Diamonds Are Forever. Beautiful, beautiful condition. As you can see, absolutely gorgeous copy of that one. And but the second, not the first. And was that 120? I think that one went for. Big money for that. For a non-first edition. 130, even more than I would expect. This was nice, £95 for On the Road. Very, very scarce, this, in actual fact, and you don't often see copies of this one in the Pan edition. And I've noticed that I think Pan and Digit are two publishers that are slightly on the rise at the moment, and the Vintage Penguins, perhaps down to maybe a lack of supply, are actually not fetching the big money that they were perhaps 6 months ago. This was very nice. I've never seen one go for this much money before. £55 for this copy of Talented Mr. Ripley. It is gorgeous. It's got that cover by Taylor, and I really like it. Mine's in about the same sort of condition. It's not unread, my copy, but it's got a few little defects. But it's a rare book, and I've only ever seen the one, which is the one I've got. So wanted to look out for that. This is much harder to find than people think, much, much harder to find. And once again, I suspect, because I had to get my copy from Australia, I suspect that the first printings were all exported, a bit like on Her Majesty's Secret Service. And this copy was from, or sold on eBay Australia, and it is the true first. Scarce little book, that one. Yep, 77 Australian dollars, about £43. Now, these are interesting. Once again, a series which appears to have cooled off a little bit. So we've got a trio to look at, the last three books, 28, 29 and 30. 29 here went for £45. Number 30 here, $42.99. I've never seen one sell for so little money. Admittedly not mint, and you'll see there's like a crease on the back there. But that is a veritable bargain, and about, a lovely spine. I mean, if you're just putting a run together, to read, that is not too bad. And then number 28 here went for £47. A little bit showing signs of wear. There's a big spine crease and a name inside. But the last three, I think, are all equally scarce. Although 28 and 29 did have reprints. Bernadette Devlin. I believe she was an Irish. An Irish politician, and quite a controversial book, this one, apparently, and all copies, in whatever state you might find it, go for good money. I'm still on the lookout for this one, and I think this one went for £40. Just doesn't turn up. A couple of the director's editions. These are £25 or best offer. You can only assume the seller took maybe £20, £22. Dr. No in the director's edition is actually quite scarce, and it's one I think I still need that one. Moonraker is the scarcest. Goldfinger is quite common, but yeah, I thought that wasn't about too bad a price for those two if you didn't have them. 22. A little selection of Agatha Christie's here. On the face of it, lovely copies for £24. Classic 60s jackets, but when you look up close, the condition's not there. They are really sort of suffering condition wise, but beautiful to have if you just sort of start and you want the books to read in nice editions. Why not? The first ever paperback of Clockwork Orange was published by Pan. This one by Anthony Burgess. This is a fairly average copy. I've had two through my hands and they never turn up in nice nick, so I've yet to see a mint one. Mine's just a touch above VG Plus like this, and this went for £20, which I thought was not bad in actual fact for that one. Another one went for £20. I think, although the number's not on it, I believe it's like Pan number 9 in the numbered series. £20 for this. Probably quite scarce, that one. This was perhaps one of the highlights of what we're going to look at today. It's an incredible Badger book collection, and this one went for about £800 in our money. It was a complete run of the Supernatural series, which we will see, and it is a full set. Absolutely fantastic, this. I mean, all bagged, beautiful condition copies. I think that was a bargain. I really, really do, for the full run like that. We'll see the covers in a minute. You can see the condition of them. I mean, picking those up individually would take a long, long time. But possibly easier in America. I don't know. I'm never coming across them over here. I'm just not, some of the later, 50s and 60s ones, but not these really early ones, the sort of ones which are more like digests. You just don't come across them. That was a really eye-opening lot. What beautiful, beautiful condition. Yeah. I might have been tempted with those. If I'd have seen them, I might have been tempted. And this is an individual one that went for $250. Once again, quite a surprise. Number 9. I don't know why that particular one is big money. I mean, they mentioned E.C. Tubb possibly writing under a pseudonym there, but I don't know why that one's so much money. And, well, there you are. It's sold. This is some later ones. This is 6 for 60 quid. So, £5 to £10, I think, although all those I think are quite common, but £5 to £10 I think is the sort of going rate for these. This was lovely. This is the Digit movie tie-in edition to The Terror of the Tongs by Jimmy Sangster. Ties into the Hammer film. This is one I'm after. I absolutely love this one. It just doesn't turn up. It does not turn up, this. I've yet to see a copy actually in the flesh. So this, particularly sort of mediocre VG one went for, was it £40? This one I have got. This is another later Digit. It's sort of a bit of a gothic horror. £25 for this one, but a lovely copy. Yeah, you don't see those around very often. And I've got about 4 or 5 by that same author. So, I think they're like gothic horror before it was a thing, really. Fontana Book of Ghost Stories. This was a huge run of them, as you can see. And this is a series that, well, I wish I picked them up as I come across them, because they're fetching big money now. In fact, you could say they're almost fetching more money than the Pan Book of Horror Stories, but it's not often you see them in a big job lot like that, and that was 300 quid for that lot. And here's another lot which is over £221 for this slipcase of the first 6, and they're not even first printings either, they're later printings. They're like a mixture, but in the rare slipcase, over 200 quid. That's big money for that. Here's a nice batch of 80 Agatha Christie's, not first editions. They're a mixture of some Pan and predominantly later Fontana, and then it morphed into Collins titles with the biography there. But nice condition. £195, probably cheaper than buying them new if you're really into it. Oh, I love this lot. This was 4 Tom Adams jacketed Agatha Christie's, all being signed by the artist, with a letter as well, a little note done for a charity auction. Just as I was getting into Tom Adams, he had the audacity to go and die, unfortunately, and he lived literally about 20 miles from where I live, in Launceston. I would have been knocking on his door, asking him to sign all my copies. I didn't know he lived so close, and what a shame. What a shame. What a talented artist he was. 175 for 4 signed ones. I don't think that's bad at all. I can't make head and tail of this. Why this has gone for, well, Australian dollars 89. In UK money, that's about £35-40 for this Clive Barker. I mean, it's not signed. It's not in the greatest of condition. Is it that rare? I don't know. Early pinhead. Remainder mark on the bottom. Shaking my head at this one. Don't know why that's fetched 89 Australian dollars. This is lovely, $49.99 or best offer. This was a full set of the Fontana A Dance to the Music of Time series, all 12 books. Really, really great series this, if you've never read it. Not science fiction. It's it follows a group of central characters from the 1920s up to about the 1970s, late 1970s. Fantastic series. I love it. Love it to death. And that's a nice set, that. Cheaper than buying them brand new. Another little batch here of Agatha Christie's. This is quite rough copies of earlier Fontana editions. As you can see, not in the greatest of shape. sold by, is it Goldstone Old Books, yeah, rare books at 55 quid. An albatross, this is one of the early albatrosses for the Agatha Christie. I think they did about 16 Christies, something like that. This one went for £150 with a damaged spine and no dust wrapper. So this is definitely one to keep your eyes peeled out for. Any Agatha Christie and albatross is good money, any of them, so in any condition. So I do recommend you grabbing these if you see them. And here's another one, James N. Cairns' The Postman Always Knocks Twice. So, like the Penguin crime books are green, the Albatross crime books are red, and any and all are worth picking up, because they all fetch good money. Here's one which isn't a crime one, it's To the Lighthouse. Bit of a classic though. I mean, it is a very early Albatross as well, I seem to remember. Yeah, like number 7. So Virginia Woolf's To the Lighthouse. But just sort of a light fiction title rather than, crime. So not so collectible, but £17 all the same. And here's another classic, Farewell to Arms, Hemingway. This one's got its wrapper. All the early albatrosses came in dust wrappers, so look out for those. And that one went for £15. This was a full set of the Agatha Christie facsimiles, but without the accompanying magazines. There is a setup with the magazines on eBay at the moment for £1,000, but this was the full set of all the books, including the 5 scarce ones at the end, which is a couple of volumes of autobiography as well. You don't often find those. So there they all are. A lovely, lovely set. I have covered these on my channel. The first half, I'm filming the second half this month, so I would have covered all of those in detail with the magazines accompanying them. I think they're fantastic, highly recommended if you do start a series of those. I love them, but if it was me, I'd try and find them in a set like that for £560. This is a Collins White Circle, but a mystery title, and this one's an Australian edition, printed in Sydney, $65. It was about £35 in our money. I did not know there were separate Australian editions. This is back to the UK now. It's another Agatha Christie, Lord Edgware Dies. Got the remnants of the dust wrapper. All the early Collins crime titles did have dust wrappers, and like this one, they do their job of protecting the books underneath. I absolutely love these. I really, really do. And yeah, £30 for that one. It's one I've actually got. This was a bargain. So 2 early Collins crime, but one of the Canadian White Circle Agatha Christie's. They only did 5 over there out of the 250 Canadian editions, and I've already got one, and it's not that one. And I would have paid, what was it, £22 for all 3 books. I would have paid that just for that one if I'd have known it was up there. So I'm a little disappointed that I missed out on that lot, because I probably would have put in about £35, something like that, to get those 3. But £22 that went for. One that got away, sadly. Another Collins crime here, Death Came Softly. ECR, was that Lomac? Yeah, or Lorac. Look at the condition of it. Hammered, isn't it? £17 and 3 £700 for this lot. What's going on? What is going on? I know these are, it's like paperbacks from hell. Tell me, somebody, what is going on? I can see some guy in Smith. I know he's fetching big money now, but there must be some titles in there that I'm missing that are fetching huge money, because that seems a fortune for that lot, an absolute fortune. Answers on a postcard. £265 for a set of the Still Life Ian Fleming James Bond. So you don't often see these in sets, and the dealer did a great job of photographing all the books. The one thing he didn't photograph was the spines, which are notorious for fading. So I would have sent off a message saying, look, they look great, what condition are the spines in? $199.99 for what I think is a pretty average batch of Michael Moorcock books. There's 22 different ones, I think they said. They're not all in A1 condition. I suppose it's a great starter collection. If you're just getting into Moorcock, it's a great way to pick a group up in one hit. But I thought that was slightly pricey for something which, they weren't all first editions. This was a lovely lot. Once again, I might have been tempted with this. £122 for, I think, 30 Conan novels. Although I have to say I like the American ones rather than these British ones, but it's nice to see them all in one run. Yeah, I might have been tempted with those because they're in nice condition as well. 18 Doc Savage, pristine condition, absolutely pristine, as you can see. On the whole, most of the Doc Savage books did come over here. They were imported, so we had the American editions, but Corgi sold them with a British sticker on. So they do turn up over here, rarely in nice condition. We do see mint ones turn up in the States, but these were, as you can see, above average copies. Nice white backs, look at that, perfection. £125 for that little lot. Well, we see this one time and time again. So this is the British copy of Halloween, published by Corgi in 1980. Curtis Richards, movie tie-in. It is what it is. It's one of those interesting books. It was £110 or best offer. To be continued on that. This was an early John Spencer, which became Panther. Horror title here from the 1940s. Terror Strikes. How scarce is this? You just don't see those books around. And what a cover. 110 or best offer, so you guess they offered 100. This I wouldn't have touched because the condition just wasn't there, but these 50s and 60s yellow spined Dennis Wheatley's just do not turn up anymore. They are not out there in nice condition. The copies I've come across, because I'm trying to pull some together of my favourite Dennis Wheatley books, they're just not out there in nice nick. So at £85, I don't know. Alright if you're going to read them. Not for collectors. This was nice. This was 74 vintage science fiction titles. Now, it was in America, so the postage over back to the UK would have been a lot. Not science fiction, sorry, just 74 vintage paperbacks. It's a mixture of crime and thriller ones, but I thought, what a nice lot this was, and particularly if you weren't massively fussed about having first editions, but you wanted to read some nice, like, classic genre fiction. I think this would have been a great lot, and they got beautiful covers. Yeah, once again, if I'd have seen this, I probably would have snapped them up as 4 Dell matte backs there, because there's some good titles in there, loads of stuff I haven't read before, and yeah, just some great pulpy crime titles, which yeah, they look brilliant, don't they? Right up my alley. Yeah, $125 those. $199.99 for Guy N. Smith's Crabs, The Human Sacrifice. Beautiful copy. Now, I have a few of the British ones, just a handful of his books, but I don't have any American ones, so whether the US ones are worth a bit more, but that was a surprise. This was a gorgeous edition of the Magic Toy Shop. I've never seen this one before, Angela Carter. This was a Dell, I believe, from 1969. Beautiful copy of it, first printing in paperback. This is one I wouldn't mind getting, I'll tell you that, because the book's great. Really, really nice, that one. That was $175. This one I threw in, it's just an interesting Dell book. It's one I've never seen before. $160. The Handbook of Beauty. I guess it's just like, obscure crossword books. They go for good money. Evel Knievel. $120 this one went for. Evel Knievel on tour. I guess he's still got his fans. I mean, I know the Mego figure that they did and the Stunt Cycle set, and they did Evel Knievel's, what was it, Caravan. I mean, all of that is still collectible and sought after, but I had no idea that there was this paperback in existence, and evidently it's one that is in demand. I was never that much of a fan of Evel Knievel. Errol Flynn, and I looked it up, it is actually the Errol Flynn, the actor. Beam Ends, so there you go. Nice Dell matte back. That went for about £80, that one I've never seen before of the matte backs. Night Cries, $74.50. Once again, an author I'm not familiar with. All I can think of, Terry Kruger. All I can think of is it's one of those paperbacks from hell, possibly got a bit of a reputation. Certainly looks interesting, doesn't it? But not one I've come across before, but I thought, that looks interesting. So I wanted to include it. This looked good. John W. Campbell Jr., Who Goes There? What a great jacket on this one. Lots of detail on it, which is what I like to see on a jacket. Nice condition as well. Yeah, nice 50s Dell. So little anthologies, a few stories in there by him. one I've never ever come across, but $60 all best offer that one went for. This was interesting. So this is the first Ballantine set of The Hobbit, followed by Lord of the Rings. Nice copies as well. I haven't got any of the American ones. In fact, I haven't actually got the paperback firsts of the Lord of the Rings. I've got the first of The Hobbit, but not the 3 Lord of the Rings Unwin firsts. But that was a nice set. $365 that went for that series. This was a full set of the Gore books. The first 6 or 7 were reprints, and the rest of them were Door books, first editions, right through up to number 25. So basically the original run. And these went for, in our money, about £170. So definitely that series is cool right off now. But those were, as good as you might ever want to collect condition-wise. But yeah, that's a series that's taken a real dip of late, definitely. Yeah, look at the white pages on some of those. Yeah, just don't find them like that. Now here's that lot. It was 110 vintage science fiction books, and I think once again I probably would have had a bit of a punt on these. Well, we'll have a look in a bit more detail. Some of them I've already got, but there was a lot in there which just would have been fantastic to read, and a huge run of the later Ace doubles. And there they are. Yeah, some good stuff there. I don't know, maybe it was probably about on point, I guess. But there was enough there, I think I would have, I might have had a stab at those. You see, on the whole, pretty nice condition. Above average. Definitely above average condition. Yeah, and some good ones there. Now, this one was like $186. I thought, wow, that's good money for an Arthur C. Clarke. Beautiful edition of it, but signed. Look at that. Very, very nice to see the first Ballantine paperback, which I've got, but I haven't got a signed one. Absolutely beautiful. I really like these early Ballantine SF books. A lot of them are all done by the same artist whose name escapes me. The Princess Bride, look at this, $162. William Goldman. God, who'd have thought that, eh? $162.50. This is a nice little batch of 6 H.P. Lovecraft. Nice editions, those. Look at those lovely covers. Very, very nice, those indeed. Yeah, I haven't got any of them. But I do pick up H.P. Lovecraft. That was $99.99. This was 125 Australian dollars, about £80 in our money. It's a reprint. Hunter S. Thompson's Hell's Angels. It's a Ballantine again. But this is like the edition from 1970, so it's not even the first. It's in pretty nice nick, really, considering it's got that black cover. And obviously Hunter S. Thompson is quite collectible in his own right, but look at that, nice spine. But that's still big money for that one, isn't it? For not even a first edition. A complete set of the Doc Savage, the first of the original run, 125 books. A couple of the doubles as well, the Giants. I mean, if you're going to do it, that's the way to do it. Find a seller with a nice high-grade run and buy them all in one hit. And how fantastic was this set? Absolutely, you could say flawless. I mean, really. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I mean, they sold a lot of copies, so you could put a set together, probably much cheaper than buying them in a job lot. But I don't know. It was just lovely to see them like that. $550 for the set. And here we are. This is the US copy of Halloween. This one went for £399, but an absolutely top-notch copy of this one. So I think that's the highest we've seen that one go for now, £400. Once again, I thought, wow, this is a lot of money. £175 for the Bantam Martian Cross, which I love that jacket. I've got it myself. I love it. But I thought, why is it so much money? And then we saw that it was signed by Forrest Ackerman and Ray Bradbury. So double coolness on that one. What a great jacket. Oh, brilliant. Another John Carpenter movie tie-in. The Thing this time. I believe this is the British copy, the British edition. Is it? Or is it the American? I can't remember. No, it's the American, Bantam. Yeah, $125. Then we've got the other set of The Lord of the Rings. This is just the 3. This is the Ace editions rather than the Ballantine. Equally collectible. $2.95 that set sold for. Another nice job lot here. Some good stuff in here, as you can see. I do love a job lot, and it's a bit of a mixture. Some of them are a bit more modern than I perhaps would like, but there was stuff going back to the 60s. It was sort of 60s to 80s SF job lot, which I always keep my eyes peeled for. But being in the States with the postage as well, it was a little bit more than I wanted to pay, but $144 that went for. This was 3 Conan paperbacks again, American editions, apparently with a particular illustrator inside, which made these reprints quite sought after. These are like the reprints, aren't they? The reworkings of the original stories, and I'm going to stay well clear of those and just read the originals, which I've actually been reading a few lately, in actual fact. And I think they're great. So yeah, as you can see, some surprises this time round. Here's another great little lot here. More cool science fiction. Always love looking at these lots, seeing books I didn't even know existed. But yeah, I think you'll agree, quite an interesting little selection of books again this time round. I'll try and do these quarterly. At one point I was doing them monthly, but I want to keep the variety there, so I just sort of do these once every few months, sort of going forward. But there we are, as we come up to the last sort of book. And then here's our last book for today, Neuromancer, William Gibson. £104 for the first American paperback edition of this absolute classic. A really, really nice book. I just missed out on one of these a little while back, but there you go, such is life. But yeah, if you have enjoyed today's video, do please give it the thumbs up. Do please hit that subscribe button if you're not already for regular vintage paperback content. And I shall very much look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye.